This is a Mortarbox Media podcast. For more podcasts and to learn how we can help you create your own, visit mortarboxmedia.com.
Welcome to Women AF, the podcast hosted by two friends who cover for the third friend when she forgets what day is her kid's birthday. So, welcome.
I thought there was going to be like a Nicole, you're out. Like, only two friends now.
You are voted off.
Yeah. That's awesome.
No, yes, it's my son's birthday, and I suddenly was like, oh my god, it's my son's birthday, and I'm recording. But thanks for pushing that. I appreciate the flexibility from everyone. Thanks.
I feel like this is maybe the third time it's happened.
I was going to say,
done that.
I think we've all done it. We're like, oh,
Yeah.
It's my kid's birthday. Like, it just sort of doesn't click, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. How's it going? Okay, so I'm Carrie. There's Nicole.
Hi.
And there's Danny. There.
Hello.
Introductions are done.
Finished.
What's going on with you guys? Nicole, what's going on?
So, nothing much. I have been looking through our content that we've kind of created the past year, us as in Women AF, and I've found some videos that actually I never posted on Patreon, so I'm going to post it, but I wanted to apologize to you too, because in the video, I was a dick. And
What? No.
I don't know what I was doing. It was one of the episodes where during the winter time, we recorded like 3 or 2.5 at a time.
Oh, yeah.
So we were really driving, and then we did a post video afterwards. And I'm looking at my phone the whole time. And I'm watching the video. I'm like, Nicole, look up. What are you doing? Why are you ignoring them? Like, I was I was listening. I think I was looking for something on my phone to like talk about.
Yeah.
But it comes across as a total dick move.
Oh, that's funny.
I love it. Now I definitely want to see it. So
Yeah.
It's really
And you
funny.
said
I'll post it.
you're gonna post those to Patreon?
Yeah. I'll take a
Nice.
couple snippets of it and post it to Facebook, but the extended cut will be on Patreon.
Great.
So our Patreon fans can see what a dick you are.
Right? Exactly. Comment on it. Do you ever have that where like you look back at it and you're like, wow, that was a dick move? Like, what the why? Why did I do that?
I do remember, especially early on when we were all getting new mics, that you were specifically having issues getting your mic to work. And so I do remember multiple times we were recording and you were looking up stuff on your phone to try to fix the audio. So it really could have just been you were actually participating in just trying to make this a great podcast.
Well, I mean, we know Nicole. She's not a dick, and she's not going to just like blatantly ignore us and like scroll through her Instagram or something. You know,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it was
Yeah.
video podcast related somehow.
I was
Well,
doing something. I'm a fidgeter. I do something. I don't know. I gotta do something with my hands.
We'll
So.
see what happens. Okay, this is a really weird intro from that comment, but like I was gonna say, we're all going to the sauna together.
Jeez. That got weird.
I did on Saturday, and I was just gonna be like, we'll see if she pays attention while we're all talking together in the room. But then you made the comment about having to do something with your hands, and it just got like
I'll just be in the sauna, like fidgeting, doing the Macarena. Like it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny, what's going on? How are you?
Well, Nicole threw me for a loop today because she found the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
the movie we talked about last week, where I remembered it, these sisters that switched places. Well, so Nicole was like, was it Wish Upon a Star? And so of course I Google it right away, and it was. And guess who the main character was? Katherine
Who?
Heigl.
Really? What?
Like
I looked at
baby Katherine Heigl.
I looked at the
What?
pictures that you sent, and I did not recognize any Katherine Heigl in there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
She's
crazy.
a
she's
little
the,
baby. She's a itty bitty.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It
Oh,
was
fun.
not an actual baby, but
96. Right. She was like a teenager. It was like
Ah.
96. And it's funny because I found the exact outfit that she was wearing when I referenced the shaving thing, right? Where she has to wear the white knee-high socks. I found a picture of her wearing that.
Yep.
And then of course, my entire lunch was spent looking up pictures, stills from the movie and trying to remember it.
Yeah, I want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
I have to now.
Nicole, how did you find it?
I was re-listening to our episode, and then I just Googled, because I remember it too. I especially remember the one scene where like the sister, yes, this is it. Adam pulled it up and is showing.
So there's Katherine Heigl. Okay.
Yeah, she's like the popular girl.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But like I remember this. And there's a scene in there where like the popular girl is in the non-popular girl's body, and she wears this like sassy stringy outfit.
Dominatrix outfit.
Yes. And I'm looking at it as an adult like, what the fuck is like middle school, high school, like freshman looking at this as Disney? Like,
right.
That would not fly in my high school.
It definitely would not fly in any high school, especially not a Disney high school. You know?
In the 90s.
And also just talking logistics, right? Where did this outfit come from? Like, did she just have this dominatrix outfit like hanging out in the back of her closet? I mean, maybe she did. Maybe that was the thing she did on the weeknights.
It looked like something that she took and cut into. So maybe she DIY'd it.
Yeah, but she had like this skin tight leather coat that was zipped up on top of it that she like. So the scene, and I only remember this because again, I spent half the day like looking up this movie. So basically, Dia is they're switched in their bodies, and the younger sister that's in the older sister's body. So younger sister is the, brainy, unpopular one. And then the older sister is, of course, the dumb, popular one, right? Like, of course, that's just super stereotype. But so the younger sister and the older bodies. So yes, that's the scene. So
yes.
She's
never mind. She did not DIY that. Never mind.
No. So like the younger sister is trying to embarrass the older sister by like not following any of the rules that her friends make her follow. And then the older sister in the younger sister's body gets back at her by like dressing up as a dominatrix and standing on top of a table and singing.
I remember this.
Well, you guys have both seen this. I need to watch it. This seems insane.
Yeah, I need to rewatch it.
But wait, what's it called again?
Wish Upon a Star.
All right, I'll check it out. I probably won't, but I kind of want to.
Yeah.
We could have a watch party.
That would be fun.
There you go. Oh, cute.
We could live tweet our commentary or something.
I like it. I think that's fun.
What about you, Carrie? How are you? How's it been?
Oh, I just had to say that a few days ago, I was just doing my thing and my sister called me, and my sister does not call me. Usually we message or text or whatever. So I was like, oh, what's up? So I answered, and she's like, okay, I'm listening to last week's episode right now. And I think she was driving. I think that's why she called. She's like, I just had to say before I forgot that I just heard Danny say the word, I think it was availability. And she clearly said it the weird way that she pronounces things and said availability. And so my sister was like, what is wrong with the way she talks? I was like, that's amazing. So my sister had to specifically call me to say
that's hilarious.
That's your thing. And then honestly, I was listening to the one we recorded last week, and I heard when you said gaze, you totally said male gaze. I was like, oh man, it is every time. So just so you know, we're all listening and judging you, and yeah,
cool. I don't feel the pressure at all.
Yeah,
it's funny because I can't even blame it on being a Wisconsin accent
No,
because
it's not that.
two of the other people that are here right now grew up in the same general area
Yeah.
that I did. So
Yeah, nope,
I
that is
have no
not it.
idea.
Well, once you hear it like, Al Asylum over and over, now it's like you can't miss it.
Yeah, this is true. Okay, but wait, I feel like I have to jump in though. It's not just you, Danny, because I feel like for me, I say weird words. Golfer, like a golfing.
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 It sounds like you're saying gopher.
It does, but I am saying golfing.
That's a little weird.
That
Yeah.
made sense. And I worked for a golf course because I like it. But anyway, whenever I say I worked for a golf course and I hate golfers, they're like, what do you don't? You what? So it's not just you, Danny. Everyone has these. It's fine.
That's great. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Carrie, tell your sister to make fun of Nicole too.
All right. Well, she's listening now. So,
Okay,
sister, make fun of Nicole too.
Yeah. And think of what Carrie does. Let's figure out what Carrie does.
Oh, she never makes fun of me. No.
Right. Why would sisters make fun of each other?
Right.
No.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Danny, I also wanted to say though, your eyebrows are stunning.
you.
They're like noticeably different and gorgeous.
Thank you. So they're still darker than they're going to end up because I just got them touched up on like 2 days ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
And let me tell you, the touch up
Yeah.
felt that a lot more.
Oh, really?
Uh-oh.
Is it because it was
Yeah.
already sort of?
Yeah, because
injured?
it's already tender.
Yeah.
Tender. I can't
Tender.
not say that from SpongeBob. Anyway, so it was like going in, I was like, whoa, okay, we're doing this.
Well,
I had to use my labor breathing.
Oh no. Oh no.
I mean, it's not terrible. Like, it's such a brief time,
Yeah.
but I was just like,
And
okay.
you're tough.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, I think it was worth it.
Thank you.
Looked great.
Good job.
All right. Well, for those of you who listened last week, we talked about the topic of femininity and just sort of hashed through that and what we think it means and how our definitions differ. And it was an interesting conversation. So we thought this week we would flip it and take a look at the other side of the coin and talk about masculinity. So I think this could get very interesting, and I'm excited to get into it.
We are so appreciative of everyone's support of this podcast, and especially our Patreon supporters. You have been keeping us going. If you would love to get a chance to watch the behind-the-scenes videos of our episodes, get some exclusive merch, or see some of our funny outtakes, join our Patreon page. For as little as $1 a month, you can sign up to help support this podcast, and you get some really cool exclusive content and goodies. Just visit patreon.com/WomenAF podcast to become an insider for as little as $1 a month. Then send us a picture or tag us in social media post. If you're wearing your sticker and merch, we love to see it.
Let's start by looking at your muscles.
Just right up in there.
Wow. Okay. Well, stop talking about my muscles, even though they're awesome.
Right? You could beat everybody up.
I could try.
Yeah.
Nicole and I tried to convince Carrie to wear a
Tank top.
so we could talk about your muscles.
And how masculine they are.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
manly muscles.
Yeah.
Because last week you were bringing up the bodybuilders, right? Talking about how like their significant others were like, you don't look feminine because of all your muscles.
That's right. I don't want to show off my muscles though, not right now. But that does lead into like what is masculine about that? What is the meaning of masculine? Obviously, we talked about it being strength, like physical strength. Which is just like a really main one. What else? what is masculinity typically, stereotypically? Like, for example, not being emotional, like a lack of emotion, not showing your emotion, being in charge, being in control.
In a family structure, maybe it's like the provider, the decision maker, the
leader,
the one who gives permission for things.
Yes. Being sort of simple, like meat and potatoes, like not liking anything too fancy, you know?
Big cars or trucks.
Big truck, yeah. The bigger the better.
In America. No?
Yes. Things, weapons and fighting. So, yeah. And I mean, really, strength is kind of the core of all of that, I would say. Which, as I said last week, I don't think it's fair that men get like the monopoly of like strength as their main trait. So, but now last week we also talked about, well, you guys said specifically that you think of femininity being in terms of physical appearance. Do you feel the same way about masculinity, or is it a different kind of thing? Because I kind of feel like femininity, women, is a lot of physical appearance. I think masculinity kind of comes a lot more personality trait inward, which is interesting.
Yeah. I do want to bring up a topic. It might tangent a little bit, but one of my good friends, Kate, she listened to the episode last week and she had a lot to say, and it was so fun. Like, during the episode, she was like, messaged me like, this is great. What she brought up too, especially with femininity, is we talked about shaving hair, but what about hairstyles? Like, if you have long hair, if you have shorter buzz cut hair, if you have more pixie cut hair, if you can't grow hair at all because you have a condition or something, and how that, to me, is very feminine to have longer hair. And then going forward with masculinity, I feel like it's hair is shorter. Like, a lot of romance novels, there's like long hair. So I don't know.
Your Fabio type. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
That's really interesting because also as Adam undoes his ponytail and shakes out his glorious mane for all of us. Very masculine. Thank you, Adam. We talked last week about having no hair as being a feminine trait, which is interesting. Yeah.
Unless
I guess
it's
a completely different scene if it's on your head. And actually, I was thinking about the hair thing in terms of, I feel like masculinity as like kind of the man has always kind of been the power, right? Like male and then female dominant, just historically speaking. I feel like feminine traits were assigned just sort of because they were opposite of masculine traits. Like masculine got the first pick, right? And so men are just sort of naturally hairier as they have it in more places on their chest and on their face. And so that meant like the feminine trait went opposite, which was hairless, which is not what women naturally are. So I think we got super shafted there just because that's the opposite of hairy. Because now we all have to like work our butts off to like shave our legs and our pits and all that stuff. So I just like the hair thing is interesting.
And that to go along with that, and this just gets into the more like real creepy territory, is like if you think of when is a person or their body naturally hairless, it's when they're a child,
baby,
or young, right? Like before puberty. So like women and not to say like this is why everyone's into it, right? I mean, because I don't know how I don't know where the shaving thing originated. I don't know when it started because clearly it wasn't around all the time. But like, it kind of goes to the women constantly trying to feel like they need to look younger.
Yes.
Yeah.
So right.
Yeah. And how we kind of, as women, we stop, like we kind of are capped at a certain age. When men, I feel like the older they get, the more prestigious? Prestigious they get, the more like they age like fine wine, like they're
dignified.
Yes. Yeah.
Gray
Dignified.
fox.
Yes. Yeah. It's like wisdom, manliness, charisma. If you're older, if a woman gets older, it's more like,
You old crone.
yeah, old hag.
Yes.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right. So yeah, shafted.
Well, and even like it's funny you bring up hair on your head, right? So I've had many different hairstyles. I've had very short hair, I've had very long hair, and everywhere in between, different colors, whatever. So when my hair was pretty long after I had Phoenix, and I decided I wanted to cut it all off, and I just wanted short, easy hair. And I remember that people were like, are you sure you want to do that? Did you talk to Daniel about it? Did you ask him what he's going to think about it? Will he still think you're as attractive? And I was like, no, I did not ask my husband's permission to cut my hair. And I hope he would still be interested in me, because he's not only interested in me for my hairstyle.
Right.
Like it was like, what?
That says so much. And again, coming back to how it's physical appearance for a woman that's important. What about like how much is masculinity a part of a man's physical appearance? Like maybe like beard, muscles, of course.
Muscles. Sometimes short hair can be a thing.
Yeah, but it's not as much, is it? It's not
as much. But like even with my son, who's 2, he's got like a mullet situation right now, because we've never cut his hair. Big moppy curly mullet. And we've had people already being like, so when are you going to cut his hair? When are you going to cut it? When are you going to make it short? And like Nova, who is almost 5, has never had a haircut either. And like nobody asks about her hair.
Yeah. It is just so ingrained to be boys, short hair, girls, long hair.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to go back and look, because I know I'm going to get this wrong. But I believe some celebrity star went on Ellen and showed a picture of her son. And her son was the same way. Like he had long hair, and Ellen made a comment of like, you gotta cut it. Like, when are you gonna cut it? And
Ellen did?
See, that's where I need to look. It might not have been Ellen. It was somebody, maybe it was Fallon or somebody. It was a host who said this. And you know what? I need to just do research before I bring up random shit, because now I don't remember. But the way that the Hollywood actress handled it was very wise, and she was like, Nicole Kidman. I think it was Nicole Kidman.
Okay.
Anyway, she said like, he will cut it when he's ready, and leave it at that. Like, this is his choice.
Boom.
He will cut it when he's ready, and that's it.
I like that.
Yeah, I thought that was really wise. I'll have to find it. I'll send it to you. Anyway.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, it's true, because it's like, I don't know. I mean, we haven't gotten our kids' haircut out of sheer laziness.
It's a pandemic. Who's doing that?
Right.
No.
Fine.
I don't. I mean, they both are scheduled to get one in the coming months, but they have very curly hair. It like needs a specific person to cut it. I don't know how well they'll sit in the chair. Like, it's just, it's a situation. And I'm also like, it is also convenient to be able to put both of their hair into a ponytail.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
Because I can just throw their hair up in a ponytail and I don't have to like do it. Because remember, their hair is very curly. So there's like,
you have to do thing. You have to put effort into that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's their hair texture is very different than mine. And so like I had to do a lot of research of how to properly care for their hair.
Yeah.
And so like it's the misconception about curly hair is you just wake up and go. That is not at all the case. I have learned from their hair, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ponytails just end up being easy in that if it's a disaster, I can do a little bun or a little ponytail. If I have a little more time, I can braid it, just like a French braid, you know?
That makes sense. Yep.
Yeah.
Also last week we talked about it actually, I was thinking about talking about that movie, A Wish Upon a Star or whatever. And how you said that the tomboy girl, you know, the quote unquote tomboy, was less popular. Like that was the bad option, right? Like she was the uncool one because she was more like plain and I don't know, tomboy in some way, right? So we're talking about that as being, you know, you're less feminine. It's not okay. But also, I think it is safer for a girl to show stereotypically masculine traits than it is for a man to show stereotypically feminine traits. So I think it comes down to, again, that like man dominant thing. So like it's always the man dominant thing is the better thing. So it's safer for women to kind of play in that space than it is for the man to come into the non-dominant space and be there and have the feminine traits. So I think in that way we do kind of win out because we do have a more of a range to work with here. So talk about that a little bit. Like, have you seen where that's been a problem?
Well, even like, so like there's terminology that drives Daniel crazy. So like when we put Phoenix's hair up in a bun, if we call it a man bun, he's like, it's just a bun. It's a fucking bun. It's not a man bun. Or man bag or man purse, or you know what I mean? Like where it's like we have to make this thing more masculine by putting the word man in front of it, even though it's literally the exact same thing.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to qualify it in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had people comment on the fact that Phoenix wears a pair of pink pajamas and how that's not boyish enough. Or I mean, I've even like, if Phoenix wants to wear a dress, right? Like I don't have a problem with it. Daniel does not have a problem with it. It is an article of clothing. And I very firmly believe that as long as it is weather appropriate, my kids should be able to wear whatever they want to wear to express themselves. But I also know, should he wear a dress, that we're going to have a conversation about how people will probably respond. You know, and that is so infuriating to me because I'm like, it goes back to what you're saying. Like, you know, women can wear, you know, quote unquote, stereotypically manly clothes, boxy jeans, big baggy shirts, whatever. And it's kind of seen like as cool girl chic or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's a girl trying to be like a boy, you know. But again, in the reverse, if a boy wants to wear a pretty dress, it's like it's a whole shit show.
And it's because female is sort of less than, right?
Yes. Yep.
So the man can't do any of that. That's
and toys too.
Oh.
Like I know it's like baby dolls, stuff like that, where you apparently can't teach your son to take care of a kid. Like,
why would we want little boys to have traits of empathy and caring and
exactly. And so this is a problem, right? And you can see it in so many ways, how men are supposed to be unemotional. They're supposed to keep it all in or not have emotions, maybe. They are not supposed to be vulnerable. They're not supposed to share what they're feeling. And so I think obviously that has like some repercussions, right? Like mental health situations. Like, I mean, how important is it for us to, we get together and we talk about everything and we can cry and we can like, be there for each other. And I think guys don't have that a lot of the time. And that seems really detrimental. And so I think.
Yeah, I mean.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but I know for sure that suicide rates are much higher for men than women. Violence rates as the perpetrator of violence are much higher for men than women. And I mean, how much of that is just because that's what toxic masculinity is, right? Yes. It's like where you have to have like this performative masculinity to the point where you're not able to like deal with, like, you don't go to a therapist because that's not manly. You don't talk about your emotions because that's not manly. You don't cry because that's not manly, when all of these things are like very natural human things that you need to be able to do to be a healthy human,
Right. And I think that's kind of more out there. There's definitely kind of more of a move against this sort of restrictive view of masculinity right now. Have you guys seen this? Like, a couple of the celebs that I follow, and that's not much of a thing I do, is following celebrities like on Twitter or whatever, but just happens to be like two of them that I actually do follow have recently come out, like even just, I think one of them came out yesterday and one was last year, came out with books on this topic about what should masculinity really mean and how to be like more whole view of masculinity and being like a whole man who's allowed to feel feelings and cry and share things with people and be vulnerable and, communicate effectively with their children. Like, this is all things that affect, generations and generations. So I'm actually reading the book that came out last year that I'm talking about right now. So I was hoping to have it done by this episode, but of course I didn't. But it's been really interesting. And it's called A Better Man by Michael Ian Black. So if anyone wants to pick that up, we should read it and talk about it. But I'm just really glad that there have been more conversations kind of about this going on lately. And maybe kind of as it's ramping up with like mass shootings, almost exclusively committed by men, violent crimes, like you said, all of that. It's just so hurtful. I feel like last week we talked about how femininity is so restrictive and hurtful to people, like just a stereotypical tight view of it. And I feel like the masculinity element is even more so, even despite the fact that the men like have always kind of held the power,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's even more detrimental to have that viewpoint.
Well, and like, as we're starting to have, like, we as in a cultural starting to have more of these conversations around like gender and gender stereotypes and gender expression and all those things, I really just have to wonder. And I mean, I think even of my friend groups, and I think myself included, how many people are just incredibly hurt in one way or another by these gender stereotypes, and what would the world look like for people if there were no gender stereotypes and people could just choose how to express themselves? Like, how empowering would that be?
Yeah. How do you see a path for that to happen though? Because it's such kind of a running around in my brain of kind of working out how to balance like gender stereotypes not being meaningful, not being important, but also people really feeling strongly about how they are, what's the word I want? How they identify.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. How do we kind of merge those two to honor people's identity and how they feel, but also make it not important? It's really hard.
Right. Well, maybe it's just like opening up the spectrum of possibility, right? The spectrum of where you fall on the spectrum of gendered or not gender identification, and like how you choose to express that, and like just be okay with more than two options.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
some people, like I might be the type of person who like I like that super vintage, super stereotypical feminine look. And there's nothing wrong about that. What is wrong is when I say, if you don't want to look the way that I think that you should look or act or behave or whatever, then it's a problem. Right. So it's not, the problem isn't how I choose to present myself to the world. The problem is my expectations of other people.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's tough in America because Hollywood is so prevalent. And we as a society really put people on pedestals and say, like, yeah, Sean Connery, you are manly man, look at you go, when they're not portraying this sort of spectrum. Our society is built on a singular form of what's a masculine man and what's a feminine woman, and that's it. Like, there's no in between. And we watch weddings that have to do with it. We watch we're, as a society, we're so ingrained with knowing every little detail of their lives that it's gonna be a very tough task to try and get out of this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's why stuff like diversity in media is really important. Obviously, diversity of race and culture, but also diversity of gender expression and identity and whatever. Because I think a lot of people are just afraid of what they don't understand, right? And if we never see something, we never hear about something, we never talk about something, we're never going to understand it. So I feel like the more opportunities to show how awesomely diverse people out in the world are, and to just be like, look, there's this gigantic spectrum of what it means to be a person existing in the world. Yeah. You know, I think the more that we see that, a real human, right? The more we see that, the easier it is to be like, oh, okay. Like Kid Cudi on SNL, I want to say it was 2 weeks ago, during one of his performances, he wore this like super, I think I talked about this last week, a very floral feminine dress with some sneakers and like some jewelry. And like, and just like, it wasn't a big deal. And I think that's the key thing, right? Like, it's not a big deal. He came up, he wore this dress, he did his performance, and then the performance was over and nobody said anything about it because it wasn't a big deal. He just wanted to wear it.
And he didn't make a big deal out of it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sure there were big deals made in in certain spaces, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't make a big deal about it, and nobody was like, hey, this is Kid Cudi wearing a dress and he's gonna do a song for you, right? Like, what's this big announcement?
Doesn't he look kind of like a lady? Go ahead.
So thinking about last week, and I know it was really interesting having Adam's perspective coming into this. Adam, I'm going to kind of call you out and say, based off of we are three women talking about masculinity. What is your perception of masculinity? Do you think there's anything different than what we are talking about?
I think that the way that we think about these two subjects is so completely different that I don't have much to add. Because I've sat here the whole time and just kind of been like, what? Because again, the very first thing I thought was just, whatever I do is masculine because I have a penis. I mean, that's just what I think. And whatever you guys do is feminine because you have a vagina. That's just That's how I see it. And I think most guys who are just kind of simple, like, not that I think of myself as simple, but I think somebody said like a meat and potatoes. I'm a meat and potatoes guy. And like, I think most guys who are like me in that regard would probably feel the same. Of course, what you do is feminine. You're a woman.
Well, so what about somebody who has a penis that feels feminine? What does that mean? Or the vice versa, someone, because sex and gender aren't the same. So,
Right.
So somebody who, is sexually oriented in one way, but expresses themselves different than the gender stereotype.
Mhm.
Like, what does that mean?
Again, and maybe this takes some unpacking, but the way that I look at it is it's a masculine trait because, I mean, are you saying, I want to be sure and clear on what you're saying. Are you saying somebody who is trans, or are you saying somebody who does identify as male, but they're trying to adapt a more feminine personality?
It could really be either situation, right? Because there are people who like, if I have a male to female trans friend, right? There are people who, and they have not had surgery, which of course this is infuriating to me that this situation exists, but people will choose to not recognize that person the way based on who they say they are, right? So like, that's one situation, but there are also,
I would go back, and I'm sorry, I'll let you keep going, but I want to go back and be sure. I shouldn't have said because I have a penis and because you guys have a vagina. If you identify as a woman, anything you do is feminine. If you identify as a man, anything you do is feminine.
okay, so that's one point of clarification. Thank you for clarifying there. Second point is, I have straight cis male friends who identify as a man,
Mhm.
who feel feminine about some or a lot of qualities, and then the reverse of that, which is, I know, a very different situation than the one we just talked about. But do you feel like them feeling feminine, is that like, what does that mean? Is it like they're still doing masculine things, that even though those things are identified as feminine by other people?
So here's what I'm kind of obfuscating here. I'm basically saying, who the fuck cares if it's feminine or masculine? Do you do what you want to do and fuck the rest? If somebody has something to say about it, go fuck off. Like that's really how I feel. So who cares? Like, you don't think you're feminine, you don't think he's masculine, you don't think, I don't give a fuck. I'm happy. That's what I am. I don't care if I'm masculine or feminine. I feel things. I cry. I have a penis. I identify as a man. I'm happy. What's it matter, the rest? So I think that's where I get frustrated with this, because for me, I just so don't care if I come across anyway, because life is good and I'm happy.
And I think that's where we want to go to.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the, end all be all, but I feel like we're stuck in the rut of traditional thinking as a society.
Yeah,
And
I think
the
we
effects.
all, I think we all sort of feel the way you feel, Adam, personally, but that's not the world we're living in. And that's kind of what we're talking about.
I think actually one of the thoughts that I had was, I think that you guys need to expand your circles, because I don't know a lot of people in my age group, at least, and I'm in your age group, in our age group, that really actually do feel that way. This is honestly, these last two episodes are some of the only times I've ever heard some of these ideas from people our age.
I agree, but if you look around, it is there and it is strong. And I will show you something I actually found on Facebook, and I think I took a screenshot. Because this stuff is everywhere. And it's because of who you are. You hang out with people who are like you, right? Like we all hang out with people kind of who are like us, which is great. But there was I saw this on Facebook, but it originated on Twitter, where someone showed that her friend like met someone on Tinder, and this person suggested a cafe to meet at, and then she suggested a different one. And his response was, "The kind of girl I'm looking for would say, 'Yes, great, see you there,' to my offer. She would then show up on time. We would have a drink there. Then if the vibe was good, walk to my place, hooked up, and have something good together on a regular basis. Any other response to me shows either low interest, lower respect, or a tendency to be masculine, bossy, potential for future power struggles, etc. I like my girls to be feminine, submissive, cooperating, happy for the opportunities I create." That is
Yikes,
that is
Rooney.
like that is an extreme example,
I'm not.
but it's really representative of a feeling in our country.
I'm not saying that those people don't exist. What I am arguing against is the vibe that I get from you guys, that it feels like you think that's the majority. Like that's where most of the people are. And what I want to say is, of the people that count, and what I mean by that is anybody who actually feels that way doesn't count. Anybody who's going to treat another person, whether it's about their race, their sex, their whatever, you don't count as a person. You just don't. So of the people that matter, nobody considers them people. Like, fine, go be an asshole and say some dumb shit to somebody on Tinder. We're going to take a screenshot of it and say, fuck this guy. And everybody's going to agree. Everybody.
Okay. I think that's all very valid. I see your point. I would say, at least for my own experience, in the corporate world, there are certain scenarios where it is, I wish I had a beard, because my opinion would be taken more seriously because I am more masculine. That's the vibe, and that's the struggle, which I feel like is very containment for the feminine population, is if you aren't masculine, your opinion does not matter. I used to work for a very masculine industry, and it was like I would propose an idea and a person with a beard would propose the same damn idea 2 minutes later, and it would be an applause for his idea. Like, that's where I feel like, yeah, they don't matter. Yeah, they shouldn't matter. But as a society, as a corporate world, we are living in this columns of society.
Well, right, but you're now comparing something completely different than what I was talking about. We were talking about somebody trying to hook up with a girl. You're talking about corporate America. I agree with everything you just said about corporate America.
I was talking about stereotypes of male and female. And it's the stereotype of a masculine male who identifies as a male, to think that women are submissive and feminine, and that's how it should be. And that's where I think it toes a line between, once a female starts becoming a little bit more quote unquote masculine or like bossy, then it's looked at as a very negative thing in a corporate world. And I think that's where I think it's tricky.
Yeah, and that's something, as a man, that I can't speak. It's something that I haven't ever experienced from your perspective. So I can't, I can't speak on it at all. I as somebody who's an advocate for women, I believe you 100%. But I can't say much other than that.
Well, and I think also the other thing, and like I notice it less in my friend group, in the group of people I choose to hang out with, right? And it's more in like maybe older family members, or at work, or like in, media or whatever, because like I find that like and it's not even, I truly don't believe that the majority of people even act on these stereotypes intentionally. I think it's a lot of ingrained behavior, a lot of microaggressions, like things like that, where people genuinely think I'm giving this person a compliment or I'm doing something nice when it's really super cringy or stereotypical or whatever. Like I see it a lot as a parent and how people treat my kids differently based on their how they perceive their gender and how they fit or don't fit into how this person perceives that stereotype of a gender. I see it in media constantly. Do you know, I mean, I started, and I mean, I feel like I'm annoying Daniel, though I think he agrees with me, so I don't think I am annoying him, but I started calling out every time somebody makes a joke about at a woman's expense. And it is almost every single show or movie I've seen. It's like, oh, you hit like a girl, you run like a girl, grow some balls, like whatever. Like, and these things are just said so flippantly, yet they're so intensely degrading and it's constant.
But I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with telling a guy that he throws like a girl if he's trying to throw like what his idea of what a man should be. To me, what the actual issue that needs to be addressed is the person who's throwing. Get rid of your idea or the idea of what a man should be. I think we're way too late into this episode to actually get into what I'm talking about. And it's an idea that it really just popped into my head that I need to chew on. But I think there is an issue about that, but it's not what we're saying that it actually is. It's not what's on the surface is what I think.
All right. Well, obviously, there's a lot of opinions and a lot of thoughts and ideas happening, and we want to hear what our listeners think. So, listeners, chime in here. Like, what do you think about these stereotypical ideas of masculinity and femininity? And are they okay? Are they terrible, or what's going on? Email us, womenafpodcast@gmail.com. You can also contact us through our website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. All the links are in our show notes. Check it out. And we've also now got a Facebook group you can join. Search us on Facebook to join up with that. And please support us on Patreon. We've got several tiers. They start at $1 a month, and you can get all sorts of exclusive content and good stuff. We are Women AF, and we know you are too. Women AF is produced by Mortar Media and engineered by Adam Rostad. Intro and outro music is SQZ by Shane Ivers. Check him out at silvermansound.com. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.